Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch Break on this Thanksgiving Eve. I hope that everyone is doing well out there, and it's dreary, but it's still not super cold. I remember a year ago, maybe a week earlier, we had 9 inches of snow. But thank God we have not had it so far. So that's something to be thankful for. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and a lot of people are preparing Thanksgiving, but it's not going to be the same. I think for most of us, it's not going to be the same. When you think about our Thanksgiving from last year and the people that were there, and then think in your mind, who is going to be at the table this year? It's going to be so different. And so we really want to be praying for people during this time, for loneliness and discouragement. We just need to lift them up. So we have our pastors on, 4 of them, 3 of them, and me, 4 of them, Phil Carr, Vince Tinch, Georgia Hill, and we are actually going to be talking about something I think that is super important in the holiday season, and that is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Yeah. How many of us, now I'm dating ourselves, but of course it's been rerun a lot. How many of you have watched Color Purple? And you watch Color Purple and you get to the scene, that Thanksgiving scene where they're around the table, and that's when Whoopi pulled out the knife and the old guy said, you acting like you're supposed to be the head of the table and you acting like you in the caboose. I mean, it was, this is really funny. Anyway, and he said, and she says, nothing's gonna be good for you, whatever. But one thing that's funny about that show and that movie, and not necessarily funny, and I want to know if you guys agree, how many of us have those Thanksgiving crazy times where you have your blow-ups?
Oh my goodness!
And you have that one relative that comes over that has been bitter with us for 20, 30 years, and you didn't know it. And then you get together and they see you eating the last chitlin and they get really, really mad. Okay, it's not.
Oh my goodness!
No, we've had those experiences, where at any holiday there's some kind of mysterious pressure that just comes in and it cuts between people and people just start acting crazy.
Yeah.
We've experienced that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happens, but it's like, boom, World War III around the dinner.
It's so crazy. Well, we're going to actually deal with it today, and we're going to do something a little different. And I'm glad that you are here. And it's going to be a longer segment because we're going to look at a video that many people have already seen, but not everyone. And that is with Will Smith and Janet DeBose is her name, who was Aunt Viv, the very first Aunt Viv in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air sitcom. And they had been beefing for years.
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years of actual beefing. And you've seen some of it play out on social media.
Absolutely.
And how they got together and resolved it, to me, was a lesson on what forgiveness is really about.
Yes.
So I want us to look at it, and I'm gonna start it, and I want people to sit back, and listen, people, please share this. This is so important. I've just shared it. I think that it's important. You're listening right now. Some of you are cooking. Well, whatever you're doing right now, you got to share this, because forgiveness is, I think, a virtue that should be so strong in the Christian life, because it reveals something. It reveals that we have been forgiven.
Come on now.
So I'm gonna share this. I want everyone to check this out and sit back and watch.
All right, we gotta share the audio, Alan. Did you hear me?
What is it? What are you saying?
Have to share the audio.
The audio is not good?
No.
Let me go back.
You got to tell them how to do it, Vince.
All you got to do is click the share button again, and then at the bottom
Okay,
it'll
so
say
you're saying that I stopped it.
at the bottom it'll say share computer sound.
Just a second. So you're saying that we have to do what?
When you click share, you have to click the button at the bottom that says share computer sound.
Why do you, hey man, why didn't you tell me this? And see, you're supposed to be the you just jacked the whole thing up, man.
Forgive
Let me
me.
see. No, I'm just kidding. So I say, I'm doing this now, I'm sharing it. And then it says share the computer sound is all the way up to 100. And you know what? I am not seeing what you're talking about.
Oh, when you click the share, it brings up a screen about which screen you want to share. At the bottom, there's a checkbox that says share computer sound. I
see. That's it.
Yep.
Okay, when it comes, it says share computer sound.
Yep.
And that's something that I knew, but there's something that happened with Vince. He made a mistake. Okay, everyone, sit back, check it out.
What's up? This is Will Smith. I haven't been in this seat before. This is my first Red Table Takeover. Something big happened, and I want to share it with you. I found myself in a bitter, painful feud. After 30 years of not speaking, there's nobody on earth that would say I hurt them that bad. I sat with the Fresh Prince's Aunt Viv.
I just wanted to know one thing. Why?
Psychologist Dr. Ramani helps me figure out how I got here.
You took psychological punches.
From deep childhood wounds, my father beat my mother, to the key things I've learned. That's not who I want to be, how to heal broken relationships. So sound, this could be good here. I could try that right there. That'll work, we think. Mic checking the mic. Mic checking the mic. Mic checking the mic. Mic checking the mic. Okay, good. Gam doesn't do it like that? Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having this conversation. I think it's going to help more people than you think.
Yeah,
well, I hope.
Well, that's what we do here.
That's what
we expose ourselves.
Expose yourselves in the name of helping others. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't been in this seat before.
How's that feel?
A little red table takeover. I brought myself to the red table to talk about something that has really troubled me for nearly 30 years. Joining me is Dr. Ramani. She's a brilliant clinical psychologist and a trusted friend of the Red Table. You know, this year was the 30th anniversary of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And my painful situation was around the Fresh Prince. I had a feud, a war of words that I'd been in with someone that I never thought would get resolved. And really until recently, I didn't know how to even begin the process of reconciliation. I really couldn't see myself celebrating without really dealing with this.
30 years is your whole adult
Absolutely.
life. That's a heavy weight to carry.
Yeah. At 21, I felt like I was on top of the world. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a hit.
Now this is a story all about how my life...
Hey, Viv! How you doing?
Hi!
Janet Hubert was cast as my Aunt Viv. She was 34 years old, an accomplished actress and dancer who had come to the show from Broadway. At first, we were all just one big happy family.
Those Friday night tapings were a lot of fun. Will would get revved up. The audience would get revved up.
Will Smith! it.
It was awesome.
But as time went on, our relationship soured, and I handled it poorly.
He was young. He was out of control in his own way. He had all this power.
I was loud, and it was always 20 dudes from Philly banging music.
There was a need for me to have professionalism on the set because I was used to it.
Well, honey, listen to me.
I wasn't sensitive, and ultimately it felt like I wasn't kind.
I would sit in my car some nights and not want to go to work.
I felt like Janet hated me and hated doing the show.
The misconception of me was that I was haughty, difficult, wanted to be the star of the show.
Things got more tense, and the decision was made to reduce her role.
They offered me this really bad deal in the third season to, I think, sort of put me in my place. So I said no.
In season 4, Janet was replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid. Janet blamed me. Then our private disagreements went public.
They went after me like red meat.
On a radio interview, I said that Janet wanted it to be the Aunt Viv of Bel Air show. Over the years, the war of words escalated. In 2018, Janet released this video.
Will, make no mistake. This video is for you, directly. I will not go to my grave feeling that questions have been unanswered or misconceptions of me that you put there have never been dealt with. Nowhere did it ever say I was fired. The only person who ever said that, sweetie, was you. The vomit that you spewed, I still reek of it. The one thing I do regret in my life was ever taking that role to have worked with someone like you. I wish you had thought about my family. I wish you had thought about the consequences of your actions.
Whew. I've never actually seen that. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
Wow.
I never watched it. You know, people have said to me, don't watch that.
Okay.
We had a cast reunion. Mm-hmm. I wanted us to seek healing, and I knew the first phase of that healing was me understanding what she experienced. Mm-hmm. So I asked Janet to sit down with me, and we sat down. Dr. Ramani was on set with us that day in case Janet or I needed some assistance to be able to make our way through. After 27 plus years, this is the first time that we ever sat down.
To this seat here. Thank you very much. If you need anything at all, let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tell me my eyes glow like a raccoon. Because they sometimes
Your
do.
eyes look spectacular.
Better.
Good to see you.
You
Good
too.
to see you.
You too. Where you sitting? This has been tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, has it been tough for you?
Yes, it has.
Yeah. Only you know and I know what the truth is about all of this. I just wanted to know one thing. Mm-hmm. Why? Why so far? You guys went so far. I lost so much.
I think it would be helpful for me. Like, I don't know your story.
Mm-hmm. I know. I know.
So talk me through, because I was having a different experience.
As the oldest woman on that set, there's that respect level that I just needed to have of being an older woman and a black woman. And we had our issues. Mm-hmm. I had been banished. And they said it was you who banished me because I didn't laugh at your jokes. Then they ordered me to stay in my room. I couldn't come out on the stage. And I wasn't unprofessional on the set. I just stopped talking to everybody because I didn't know who to trust. And the whole negotiation thing was messed up.
Yeah.
You guys offered me something I had to turn down. And I was like, why?
Absolutely. And
Did you know that they offered me 10 weeks of work and said you can't work anywhere else?
I didn't know specifically what the offer was.
10 weeks.
And I knew that
2
you
months.
had turned down the offer.
How do you survive with a mortgage and a new business and a new baby and a husband who wasn't working at the time? How do you survive? So much of what you said just destroyed, and everywhere I went, everybody just beat me up. We lost our house. I lost everything. Reputation, everything. You took all that away from me. With your words. You know, words can kill. You know those words, calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. And it's hard enough being a dark-skinned black woman in this business. Angry black woman, that's all I got. Bitter. But what you didn't realize either, that I was going through a lot at home.
Right.
You didn't know. You guys didn't know. Very abusive marriage. I had a new baby. He was 3 months old. So I felt like there was no sanctuary anywhere for me. Family disowned me. The black community disowned me because they keep wanting to bring it up. It's like, what about that Fresh Prince thing? What about Will Smith? What about all the, you know, it just never goes away. Black people beat my ass. They beat my son's ass. Somebody smashed a cookie in my son's face and said, your mother is a bitch. People send me hateful Instagrams. Aren't you dead yet? I love Will. Why don't you just die? It was hard. It was hard. But I promised my dad before he left this earth, and you know you lost your dad, that I would clear my name because it's his name. My family said, you've ruined our name. But you're the big star, you know? I'm just a little black bitch. I just need some water.
Yep. You want to walk off set?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It's just heavy. It's just heavy, you know, and it's funny. My body. It's like my body's shaking a little. It's like I'm trying to put some logic to it, but the sensation I feel is that's not who I want to be, and it's not how I want to make people feel. My whole life and career is centered on aggressively trying to make people feel the opposite of that.
Okay. All right. So you've gone to an interesting place. I don't want other people to feel this way. And she's, you know, but let's just stay for 1 minute with your feeling. Okay. Just give me my shrink moment here, because that's a lot to have come at you. I felt it, you know, I felt that energy, and I'm not you. Okay. And part of listening is giving yourself space to process your own emotion when someone's coming at you like that. So let's take a moment there. How are you feeling?
So it's my father was violent in my house. So a part of the whole creation of Will Smith, the joking, fun, silly, was to make sure that my father was entertained enough not to hurt my mother or anybody in the house.
Okay.
Right? So that plucks a childhood space of inadequacy, and when someone comes at me like that, the little boy is fully in that space, and I would perform and dance and tell jokes.
Okay. All right.
Right? People laughing and people having fun was my defense mechanism. I realized the other side of it was if I cut you bad enough, you wouldn't be able to respond.
Okay. So, but people laughing for you then is safety. 'Cause
Laughing is safety,
If
yes.
dad was laughing,
If he was
and
laughing,
dad wasn't lashing out.
He wasn't hitting my mother.
Okay.
Right.
I can imagine on the set of The Fresh Prince 30 years ago,
Yeah.
you just kept cracking the jokes more and more and more.
Yes. It's like Janet was Juilliard trained.
Yeah.
Janet can sing, she can dance, she can act, she's brilliant, and she was in the parental figure.
Yes.
Right? So my little boy desperately needed her approval.
Okay. But the dynamic you described with dad was also, it was not just approval, but it was how do I keep myself safe?
Keep myself
you had
safe.
a harder
Yes.
game to play.
Yes,
with, okay?
absolutely.
And so you were balancing both of those here. I need to feel safe
Yeah.
and I need the approval, but there were other people. This isn't your real family.
Absolutely.
But all those wounds were getting triggered.
Yeah.
And so you weren't able to be your best self.
It's really interesting. I just noticed now in this moment that I fell right back into my family dynamic with my television family. That I was the jokester and I was playing and I was laughing and I needed everybody to be joyful so I could feel safe.
That's right. So now we're understanding how you feel, but there's a lot of hurt there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resentment there.
Yeah.
Did you feel hurt?
Oh God, yes, absolutely. I felt threatened.
That makes sense.
I felt threatened. At that point in my career, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air really saved my life, right? So I had a few years in the music business, but I had lost all of my money. I didn't pay taxes. I was in debt to the IRS. I had just flopped an album, you know, and The Fresh Prince represented life.
Right.
So on the little boy in me level with Janet, I needed mommy to think I was great. And then once I realized that she didn't, my dragon woke up.
Okay. You become that little boy in any system that feels like a family. You've got to stay on top of that.
Stay on top of that.
That's
I just realized, it's like, oh, shoot, that was the family dynamic again.
That's it. You know, so that's a trigger. And you feel it in here. And the problems, we feel it physically.
Yeah.
So it feels as real as though we were 4 years old.
Absolutely.
And that's what gets turned on. So the question is, how do you respond to that?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with me. That's new information for me. Like, I didn't know that. I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
And as asleep and unconscious as a human being could possibly be. And it's so obvious looking with these eyes. Everything was a threat to me.
Why was I a threat?
Not you, the world. I had a dream and I was a scared little boy. The reason I got into the business, everything I was trying to do, like, I was so driven by fear and jokes and comedy and all of that.
Yeah, you were live.
I just swear my 21-year-old eyes could only see that I felt like you hated me.
I hated what you did. I just hated what you did. You took my career away of 30-something years. You just went too far when you were younger. And I know you always had to win.
I didn't realize the power
of your words,
of my words, and what that would, you know, how that would affect you, and went way too far and said things to people that wouldn't know how to hold that information. And then once you put it in, then the machine grabs it, then they start putting their own spin on it. It was all way too far on my end. When I look back now, it's, you know, it's obvious that you were having a hard time. I have children.
Yeah.
I've been divorced and kind of a second marriage, and
Same.
you know, so it's like I can see now the level of pain and the level of struggle that it was for you just to show up every day.
Mm-hmm. But you get tired of fighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight. You know that Tina Turner song?
Yeah.
I don't really want to fight no more. It's time for letting go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My heart is just tired. I'm so tired from all of this. 30 years of shunning, closure, forgiveness.
Yeah.
Move forward, stop them from all the chatter. Enough. I've served a 30-year life sentence.
For sure. The person I want to be is someone who protects you, not someone that unleashes dogs on you.
I appreciate that. I'm bitten to death.
I could not do a 30-year celebration of this show and not celebrate you. Celebrate your contribution to this show, celebrate your contribution to my life. Right?
Come here, you. You okay?
I'm great.
You still feel like my...
Like I'm little?
Yeah. Yes.
You still my Aunt Viv. You still my Aunt Viv.
It's so weird. You know, we've said such hateful things about each other.
I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, too.
Hey, we're good. We are good.
Okay. All right, baby boy.
I appreciate you.
You're always a baby boy. I'm always older than you.
I need my own red table talk. What's up?
Okay, so let me get back to this because I always mess this up.
Happened, and I want to share it with you. I found myself in a bitter, painful.
All right. So, a couple things I want to talk about. This was tough. This was tough. Your reaction to the video, Vince?
Just wow. Just starting from the beginning, this, I believe, was a huge win for mental health in the African-American community. And you know, because I shared with you when I first met you, that I identified with a lot of things in this video, just coming from my background and things that I had to go through. So I can I see clearly the issues in this video and the effect that Will's past had on his present.
That is powerful. What you just said was Will's past having an effect on his present.
Yeah.
Which was really the reason why the dragon came out. Georgia, your thoughts?
Well, there's just so much in that. A lot of grace was expended in that. I think one of the things that stands out to me is that even though he knew he was doing the wrong thing when he did it, he really did not have any idea the long-lasting consequences. And I think that sometimes we just don't realize the power of our own words and how our conduct can have lifelong consequences. They said it's been 27 years, right, since they did that TV show. And so that is a long time for someone to be feeling, as she said, shunned. And it was amazing to me to see that the first thing they did when they greeted each other was to have a hug.
Yeah. those who are watching now, I'd love to hear your response, how that video affected you. Phil, what are you thinking?
I was thinking, what a powerful story of forgiveness, and just how we all need it in our own experience. I can only imagine how encouraging that is to viewers who have a similar situation, and so I started thinking about the story of the prodigal son in the scriptures, a powerful story of forgiveness between a father and a son, in the story of Joseph, and his brothers. But I was just thinking, what a tool, right? Some of us know we need to forgive, and maybe even get to the point where we want to forgive. And it is tools like that, I think, watching Will Smith and the Fresh Prince and Aunt Viv could really encourage many of us to take care of business in the area of forgiveness.
Now, Georgia, Janet DeBose said something that was really interesting. She says that she has been in a 30-year kind of prison. Can you, Georgia, in your mind, what do you think she's saying?
Janet Hubert, right? Janet Hubert. She said,
why did I say DeBose? Okay, is it
another famous Black actress? That's okay. Yeah, right. Another famous Black actress. That's okay. From that era. I think that for 30 years, she has been feeling the pain of being falsely accused, right? Because really what happened, I mean, apparently we don't know all that went on the set, right? But the way she was characterized, it held her in check in terms of her career. Yeah. And so she was not able to get any type of relief, or there was no way to change the narrative. There's this narrative that comes out from the powerful one. And then that narrative defines who she is. So she says she can't get a job. She's no longer in the entertainment business. And, so she's held back. And I think that, that's, I think, what she was feeling. I told Alan the other day, I can just, true confessions. I gotta tell Alan the other day, I told Alan the other day that this scenario is not that far from my own personal experience.
Yeah.
And I was not the Janet Hubert. I was the Will Smith of the story. Mm-hmm. So not several years ago, earlier this year, a woman came to me and she said that while I was at the church where I served previous to this one, I was supposed to arrange a program for her to publicize her book. Yeah. And I cannot tell you what the reason was, but for some reason we couldn't ever get it scheduled. There was two things that happened. We couldn't get it scheduled. Ultimately, because of me, it never happened. So fast forward 20 some years, right? Probably maybe 15 years, maybe or so, fast forward. And she comes to me and she says, look, we need to talk. And so it was really beautiful that she was the one that came and said, look, we need to talk. She said, and she started off by saying, I got to tell you, I've been holding a grudge against you for 15 years. So I'm like, whoa. And she began to tell the story. And it was an intense experience because I had to reckon with what I did and the impact that it had on her. And it was an amazing experience because when she told me what I did, I realized how terrible that was. And I was so I was crestfallen. I was so hurt that I did it. I felt so badly that the program didn't happen. I felt terrible that, I in any way, impeded the progress of her book. She's a wonderful author. For those of you who might think you know who it is, it's not Diane Reeder. Some people know her as one of the authors at my previous church, Plymouth Church. But and I'm just not saying her name because I don't want to get too messy. People walk up to her and say, well, tell us some more stuff about Georgia, because trust me, there's more. But anyway, but I just felt so grateful that she came to me and said, look, we need to get this together. And she said, look, I've been holding a grudge. I said, well, I didn't even know what I did. We apologized to one another. We made amends. I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And you know, God is awesome because God gives Christians the opportunity, gives us the language, gives us the mechanism. See, other religions don't offer this, y'all, but Christianity offers us a remedy for this kind of thing. So she was able to first get together with God and deal with it in her own heart, gain the strength to come to me and say, hey, we need to deal with this. I'm able to go to God and say, God, I really messed this thing up. I need your forgiveness and I need her forgiveness. And then there's healing and there's a reconnection in a relationship. So it's this, when I saw that video, the first time I saw it, I was in tears. I was like, Will, hand me the tissue because I can wipe my eyes.
Well, this is something that's interesting because that person that you're talking about came to you and said, I got a problem. I've been holding a grudge. See, a problem in the world among humans, but especially in the church, is we, and I'm going to use the word, don't have the courage, I think, to go to a person and say, I have a grudge with you, against you. We just don't want to say it. And we'll rationalize it. We'll say, well, I don't want to say it because if I say it, it may go south because they may say something and or if I say it, they're not going to accept it. We build this whole narrative in our mind, but not realizing that what Jesus wants us to do is to first, if you have an ought with anyone, then you go to them. I mean, so let me ask you this, and I want you to answer, to kind of unpack what you saw in the video. What steps did you see that we as Christians can do in order to reconcile with a person or to forgive or to practice forgiveness? Vince, when you think about that video, did you see like specific steps that we can apply as well?
When I think one of the most important parts to me, like that stood out to me, was the fact that they didn't just try to do, surface area forgiveness, but they took the time to actually get down to the root. And getting to the root is something, because Georgia just said something that really encouraged me, and she said that I was the Will Smith, and I think that what the issue is that a lot of us are the Will Smith in our situations. The truth of the matter is what I commonly have to tell people is that if you're thinking of it just from a physical standpoint or just from a worldly standpoint, we are the results of things that have happened to us. The beauty as a Christian is that even though the world is changing and we're being exposed by all these issues, we have something that's static to compare ourselves to. Like if you think about my situation, right? Growing up, the first major impact was my parents divorcing, right? My parents divorcing affected me deeply, and I know I'm not unique in that matter, right? But I understand how that affected me. And then you see that on the flip side of that, one of my major things about me is being the best husband I can be. I got married at 23. Some people respond to it differently. Some people say I'm never going to get married because of divorce, right? But I responded in a different way. But again, that's me being a product of my past. You know that we became homeless, right? But what does that mean? Like, so you see all of these different things in my life that were very unstable. So I was in a search for stability, right, in my life. So now, the first thing I did was after I got married at 23, then the next thing I did was I bought a house at 24, right? So here again is my past and me searching for the stability that I didn't have in my past. And then this is the kicker right here, and I think this is what really ties into what Will was experiencing, was that a lot of people in my family didn't like me. And I had no understanding as to why they did not like me. I love everybody in my family. I still love everybody in my family. And a lot of people came to me later in life and explained to me. I didn't understand why. I could tell that they didn't like me. I didn't understand why they didn't like me. But many of them have come to me later in life and explained that, hey, I didn't like you because of this. I didn't like you because of that. And most of the things had absolutely nothing to do with me. But what did that develop in me? Alan, I've already shared with you, is that it developed me the type of leader that I am. I'm a person who focuses directly on the task I'm trying to get done, and it causes me to bulldoze people. Why? Because the people that I've needed in the past, who I expected to be the people who to help me and to push me through, had already let me down. So I know that I realized that in order to get something done, I got to get hyper-focused and not depend on anybody and get the thing done. And the issue is that causes you to hurt people as you're going, right? So, and that's one of the things that I've learned along the way. Even so, you see that later play out later in life when I'm doing later leadership development for Alpha Omega Co-ed Christian fraternity. When I'm training other presidents, I have to explain to them because one of the things that I saw that Will experienced was this: he did not realize that in his new position, things that he used to do affected people differently. What am I saying? His words didn't have as much impact before he was the Will Smith. But when he stepped into the position of star, when he stepped into the position as lead, as carrying other people, now the same words that he could have said before that wouldn't have had any effect on anybody have a different effect. I would tell my presidents this all the time. My presidents, when you step into this presidential role and you're going to be leading the campus, you cannot joke the way that you used to joke when you were just a layperson. Now in this position, you can't say those things just because you mean something different to the people who are reporting to you, to the people who are following you. Your words have a deeper impact. So.
Whoa. So I'm getting text that the video is now on. Are you seeing the video?
I think it's back on now. I had that experience too. Somebody said it wasn't on, but I think it's back on now.
Are you seeing a video, Vince?
It's on for me.
Yeah. It's on.
But it was showing more Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's what I saw on there. But I think let's see if it's back on. Somebody tell us if you guys text us on the chat. Let us know if you're back on.
So again, you all have your phones and you see that it's on.
Yeah, I can see it's on my phone.
Yeah, I don't see too many people on it right now and not responding. So I wonder if, I have that it's on too, everyone. So I don't know if you can see it, but okay, no one, but
yes,
no one.
It's on. Yeah, Christian responded. She said it's on.
Okay. There's something that I think was powerful. It's kind of what Vince is talking about, and that is the fact that Will's past affected his relationships in the future. The thing that, and if we're trying to reconcile, one thing that's, if we're going to be the Will Smith, let me just ask these questions. And Phil, you can answer this. What did Will do that contributed to Janet's forgiveness in your mind, Phil?
Well, he did multiple things, but I think at the top of the list and what was most powerful and productive was his exhibiting of humility. He was very humble, and it was discernible. You could see it all in his disposition, and it didn't seem fake, as you sometimes see with situations like that. It was authentic, and it was a deep level of humility, because at no point did he blame shit. At no point did he go into a blame shifting, and as I was observing it, I felt like his humility was disarming, that it really disarmed her. And I think that's something tangible that we need to keep in mind and be prayerful about as we seek similar type of forgiveness scenarios, that humility goes a long way.
So I want to unpack what that really means and how did that play itself out? To say that he showed humility in that situation, what types of things was he doing?
So he was taking responsibility for his behavior.
Yeah.
He wasn't blaming stuff on her. Now, it's real interesting because when they got to the end, she did finally chime in and said, I was wrong too. But he didn't try to make that a part of the scenario. Will did not try. Will didn't say, well, you know, you did some stuff wrong too. And had you not done this, I wouldn't have, you know, he owned it. He owned all of it, as well as he exposed himself. So that was a practical part of his humility, right? Mm-hmm. I was a 21-year-old scared boy. Mm-hmm. He said, when it comes to being awoke, I had no clue, you know, so he was exposing himself as well. And he wasn't trying to expose her. She ended up eventually exposing her own role. Yeah. So those are some of the things.
So he wasn't defensive. He
wasn't defensive.
He just took it. He didn't blame shift. And that's one thing that we definitely need. So again, I'm getting some text that our streaming is actually not on, that people are not seeing the stream. I'm seeing it. I'm not. I think that the whole program will be there. So hopefully after we finish, we'll be able to go back and check it out. But so when that is super important for us when we know that we have done it, to take the hits. See, the reason why oftentimes we're not forgiving or a person doesn't forgive us or we're not reconciling is the offender, he does not take the hits, or she doesn't want to take the hits. We want to come up with our own little scenario. We want to talk, we want to say things like, you just don't know my heart and all this kind of, just be wrong. I mean, isn't that what we need? And I see, and I saw that. So I saw a couple things. I see that Will, he took the hits. He humbly took the hits. I saw that Janet was honest. Mm-hmm. And she was honest, and she shared one person would say, did she share and make it personal, or did she share the facts? And I think the facts is what she shared, because he said something like, either he might have said, I don't want you to hate, or you hated me. And she says, no, I hated what you did. And see, that's different. So a lot of people right now are heading into holidays. And one issue that they're going to face is this: relationships. We can't keep brushing or sweeping things under the rugs. You know good and well you're sitting with that person, you know you've hurt them. You're just because they have not brought it up, you're not bringing it up. What do we do, especially heading into this holiday, with those that you have hurt? What are you thinking, Georgia?
Well, I thought that there were two keys in his conduct that were extraordinary, in my opinion. First of all, he sought professional help. Need I say more?
Yeah.
Many of us are crazy as a bed bug, and we don't want to admit it. We think we can find an answer at the yoga studio or in the bottom of a bottle or at the end of something we're smoking. And the truth of the matter is, I don't care how relaxed marijuana will make you, it will not fix it. So you got to get professional help. That was one thing he did that was great. The other thing he did that was excellent was he said, I don't know your story. And part of the thing we have to be willing to do is listen to the other person tell us the bad news. And you have to sit there and you have to listen to them tell you. Don't interrupt it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to modify it. Don't try to say, well, you know, you did. No. The mature thing to do is just let them say it, because part of what the wound is that she never gets a chance to tell her story.
Wow.
Right. So in South Africa, the Truth and Reconciliation hearings that were held by Bishop Tutu and Dr. Bosak, the idea is that the people get to stand up and say, this is what happened. They look at the accused, they look at the person, the offender, and they say, you did this to my family, and here are the consequences. My child died. We didn't have enough money on the table. We were broken. We were this. And you have to listen to that thing. You got to let them talk and tell their story. And then You have to be accountable for what you did and not make excuses, but just grow up. And here's the thing that's so good about Christianity is that in that there is healing. God, we might feel that we've been ripped. Come on, somebody, but he will mend us back together again. That's the nature of who he is. He will bind up the brokenhearted. And let me tell you something. Will has grown about 10 years of maturity in that conversation. I'm telling you, look out, world, because Will's going to get ready to do something really awesome with that. And hopefully he puts her in his next movie and she gets a big role and a lot of money. But, the truth is that's going to be a good thing. So I think practically you said, what are we going to do in the future? If you have an issue that's in your heart, talk to a trusted Christian friend, talk to a pastor, get some professional help, try to work it through. And then when you're ready, go to that person and make amends. Talk to them. Any of you people that are out there on the ship, right? You know what I'm talking about when I say the ship, the fellowship. If you in AA, NA, Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, any of those, you understand that part of what has to happen is you have to make amends. So go to the person, figure out how to do it. If you need to get a moderator, get a third party, do it, but talk to them. And then for the people, we have to do two things. They were willing to forgive each other.
Yeah.
We have to be willing to forgive, and we have to be willing to let it go. And at some point, you know what? There is nothing that time can do to replace what you have lost. The only thing you can do is move into the future as better people.
Wow. So we really are talking about the offender, because this thing was really about Will. And Will set this up, had a counselor, had a psychologist. He wanted to work through. So listen, the offender is going through his or her own type of jail. You know what I'm saying? There was a reason why Will said, I gotta get this thing fixed. Hey, people watching right now and will watch, if you have offended people. I think, especially if you're a Christian, the Holy Spirit is going to continue to bring that to you. And that's why Jesus says, if your brother, now listen to what Jesus said, if your brother has aught with you. I mean, not if I'm mad at my brother.
That's right.
So the offender has to deal with this.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter, even if you lose face. Even it makes you look stupid. And this is very relevant for us married people, isn't it? Think about it. How many times do we have to just say, we have to swallow our pride, eat some crow pie or whatever you used to call it, in order to reconcile in your home? Any thoughts? We're going to close out, but any thoughts, Vince?
Absolutely. I think really what you have to do is, and I'm going to keep it simple, then I get to the nuance of the whole thing, is this is it. You have to love the hell out of people. You have to love people when they do deserve it, love people when they don't deserve it. And no, that is the response that Phil is talking about when he talks about that it disarms people. Even when people are trying to do you wrong and people are trying to come at you harsh, if you respond in a loving manner, it disarms them. It's nothing that they can do. They find themselves arguing with themselves. So you have to make sure that you take the time and actually love somebody. Now, I know some people are out there and they're saying this. I would go forgive, but I'm not the offender. The other person is the offender. This is the problem with the whole thing is I want you to pay attention to something real quick. Janet is not innocent in this situation. Janet was the elder statesman on that show. She was older. She understood the things that were going on. She could have looked at Will and she could have took some time to say, okay, he's going through this. I understand his background and things like that. It takes two to tango. It takes two to make an issue grow, okay? There's no issue that grows without two parties participating in it. So now, I know we sat here and looked at Will as the person who is guilty, and now he's coming to make amends, but the truth of the matter is both of them are guilty. But all it takes is for one of them to come forward and to be that person who steps forward and says, you know what? I am going to be the person who's going to lay this down. I'm going to be the person who takes the time to listen and understand their side. And I can't tell you, no matter how many times, and I'm speaking to people who's been in any type of relationship, but I'm going to speak specifically, even in my marriage, and I'm not going to share too much because I want my wife to kill me, but there's never been a time when there's been a disagreement between me and my wife where when I didn't took the time to, hello? Am I still on?
Your video is gone, but.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, just making sure. Yeah, all right. There's never been a time where I didn't take the time to actually listen to my wife's point of view that I didn't realize that, wow, she's right too. Like, even though I felt like my position was correct, but when I take the time to actually look at her position and listen to her position, I found out that, there's always some right and some wrong on both sides. But in order to get over it, you have to love the hell out of somebody. Love them when they're right. Love them when they're wrong. The beauty of it, I see from the Christianity standpoint, is this. Morality from the world standpoint changes over time, okay? It changes with the toss of the time, and you will find yourself tossed with the tide of time if you stick yourself in the morality of the world. But it's so wonderful that even though culture wants to change, Jesus and God is always the same. And if we can hitch our anchor to God, then what we find is the stability and the ability to go forward and be the person who is bringing people back into reconciliation instead of the person who is going out tearing people apart.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Phil, your last thoughts, and we're going to close out.
So I would say that what I was most impacted by and what we got to do is to acknowledge and address our unresolved issues. And so we saw unresolved issues between them and in them. They both had unresolved issues in them. They had them between them. And just real quickly, 3 C's, we got to consider our wrong, because you saw it in Will. Good things started to happen when Will considered that he might be wrong. He considered this wrong. And then as he identified things, he confessed this wrong. When he confessed that to Janice, you saw the impact on him. It made him feel better. And then you saw the impact on her. And then thirdly, we got to correct our wrong. So, we got to take tangible steps to treat people differently and to do things differently. But I thought that unresolved issue was just so powerful. And many of us haven't come to the point of forgiveness yet because we have unresolved issues that we haven't acknowledged or addressed.
We all have to acknowledge one thing, that all of us, we're all broken. We're so messed up. Man, our pasts, our relationships, our interactions, our teachers, our parents, our bullying, we are just messed up people. And because of that, we don't know how many people in our lives that we have cut up and destroyed. You never know. You might have that person, like I've shared once. I had a person that saw me at the school center building when I was working with DPS, and she just looked at me and she says, "Alan," she says, "You remember me?" And I said, "No." And then I looked at her and saw her eyes. She says, "Yeah," and I then remembered her. She says, "Yeah, you were so mean to me." And she started talking about the things I did back when I was a teenager. And she was really specific. You loaned me some money and you were on my back and you used to talk about me. You would be friends with me in front when we were private, but in front of people, you would tear me down. And all this stuff. And and then again, I was acting out of my brokenness. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be I'm with her alone. I'm cool. But when people are around who also don't like her, I had to pile on her too. And so she carried that, and that was 30 years. We don't know. See, I'm going back to what Phil just said. We got to be honest, and we need to be considering the fact. We got to realize we are not even almost good. I wish we'd be honest about this. We just jacked up people. And so when they come to us with an offense, we need to be considering it, because you probably did it. You know, you probably did it.
Right.
And stop being all defensive like you are righteous. And didn't Paul already says no man is righteous, no, not one?
No.
Not one.
So I think that if we all as human beings, and so no, as Christians, as followers of Jesus, because we have that revelation, if we all realize that we're wretched, oh, wretched man or woman that we are. Paul said it in Romans chapter 7, verse 25. Oh, wretched man I am. Who's going to save me from this body of death? If we could start right there and then transition to Romans chapter 8:1 and says, but there's no condemnation to those who are in Christ, because Christ did it for us. But so that's when that grace comes in. But at least we have to start with the fact that we are wrong and stop trying to justify when they're coming with an offense. We need to be listeners. We need to say, tell me your story. We gotta say it. And then, you know what? For the sake of reconciliation, going back to Vince, we gotta love the hell out of them.
Come on now.
Even when we are wrong.
Come on now.
Anyway, I'm sorry. This affected me, and I really hope, and I think that we've had some technical problems, but I think that it will be on until people, and I'm going to boost this so that people can see it, because we need to definitely have this discussion and realize that our world is jacked up because we don't forgive.
Nor do we confess.
We don't consider, we don't confess, and we don't correct. I text that alliteration to Phil before he did that.
Thanks, Alan.
All right. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. When the smoke starts rising up and you see somebody acting funny because of something you did 10 years ago, then just consider and confess and correct. You'll be good. Have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving. And we will see you soon, and we'll see the public soon as well. Lord bless you.
Be safe, everybody. Blessings.
All right.
God bless you.